This is Rob Temple for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined here today by Shane McGUIGAN. We're at some new digs here at the University of Kent. Shane, first of all, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you, mate. Moved in the other day to this new place, so yeah, it's nice. Dad's been in contact with the University of Kent to try and get a outside London sort of training camp, so we can get the guys and we can. They've given us a house. They've given us like a 6-bedroom house full of boxers and like a state-of-the-art gym plus all the weight training and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to be locating here for the PROGRAIS camp and the McGUIGAN camp. So big thanks to Chris at the University of Kent for sorting us out. He's an absolute legend.
A little bit of a different vibe. We're on a university campus as opposed to in Wandsworth Town. Explain the differences between the two.
Well, there's lots of students around, so I've got to keep the lads on the straight and narrow. No, it's good. It kind of feels like it just feels like a proper camp. It feels like I think all the guys are up at Sheffield. It probably feels quite like that. You know, you're up there. You're there to train. You're not there to have distractions and your mates come around all the time and messing about like that. There'll be a good little buzz about it, but it's definitely a bit more of a serious vibe. So it's good.
Now, obviously, one of the main reasons I've popped down today, we're a few days removed from Luke Campbell's unsuccessful attempt at capturing the WBC World Lightweight title, and the other two titles that were on the line against Lomachenko. First and foremost, just your thoughts on the fight looking back.
Everyone's saying, we did really well, and Luke did so well to sort of get through it, but we're just gutted, because we trained to win, and that's the thing. It's not about going the distance, or it's not about putting up a good effort. It's about getting the victory. So, we've had a lot of chats and stuff, and there was a couple of things he could have done better. But he definitely acknowledged how amazing Lomachenko was. How he caught him with a good left hook in the first round, stunned him a little bit, and got his respect. And he never found that shot again. And that just shows the mark of Lomachenko. He's just an incredible fighter. Just such a clever guy. He sort of rolls and pulls out a distance. His little adjustments are incredible. And I've been with Luke now a year and seeing him sparring top quality guys, and he's very accurate, and he was made to miss a lot by Lomachenko, and that just shows you how good he is. But I thought Luke boxed well. Probably could have boxed a little bit better, but that's just us being perfectionists. There's still room for improvement, and I believe his time will come again. He's still so young and fresh at his age, and he's got no miles on the clock. And even though that fight was a reasonably grueling fight, it still didn't take too much out of him. So yeah, he'll go again, and I think another little bit of rebuilding, and then we'll get our chance. And he's a really good friend in George Groves, and he didn't do it till the 4th time, so there's he'll get his opportunity. And the one thing that resembles the two of them is they've got no easy hand-picked opponents. He fought Jorge Linares and Lomachenko for his 2 attempts at world title, and George, he boxed Fox twice, and then Badou Jack's a really, really top quality guy. So it's there's certain fighters out there that are world champions and 2-weight world champions, 3-weight world champions that didn't fight any elite boxers, and at least the 2 of them can say they have.
Now, obviously, you couldn't divulge before the fight your game plan. Now the fight has come and gone. Just wondered, what was the quote-unquote the game plan going into the fight? What worked that you thought would work, and what didn't work as well as you would have expected going in? Well, the game plan obviously was pretty obvious. Trying not to load up, try and settle him down with the touches, and then once he settled down, then whip the shots in. The Pedraza fight was quite a big key for me to sort of structure a game plan, and I think we got a lot of success with it. But the difference is that I think when Luke hit Lomachenko, once he settled him down, hit him, he hurt him, so he never settled. Whereas in the Pedraza fight, he gave him the touches, gave him the free shots, and sort of walked him down a bit more. Every sort of attack against Luke, it was an effort attack. It was like he
shooting in because he knew that middle to long range Luke was going to nail him on the way in. So he adapted very well, and I think even Luke adapted. Once he got hit and hurt in the 5th round at the end of it, he adapted. He came out and gave him different looks. You know, we were working a lot on like tempo with the feet, so in and out, and then next look was working side to side, sort of feeding him shots and peeling off. And every time you're peeling off with a hard shot, you've got to pull back, because he loves you to stand over the foot, or he loves you to fall in, and then he can get his shots off. But you know, it was, you know, we could have dropped a couple of harder straight shots in. A lot of the shots were bent arm shots, like big looping hooks, which he was blocking quite well. But you know, like Luke's got a very good eye, and if the shot had been there, he would have chucked it. But you know, there was just not a lot of shots there that present themselves. So just a very, very highly skilled, highly fought technical fight, and a lot of boxers will appreciate it, and a lot of fans will say, "Oh, well, there wasn't that much action going on," but you know, it was a really entertaining fight from the real boxing purist sort of point of view. So I was happy with his performance. I think he could have boxed a little bit better, but you know, he landed some good shots, and I think he hurt Lomachenko more than he's been hurt in his whole career. So.
When you consider looking back, I mean, since the fight, you've both been given a tremendous amount of credit, you for the game plan, Luke for executing the game plan, ultimately in defeat. You mentioned earlier on at the start of the interview that it's still a loss, and you know, you're always going to carry a loss. Does the praise that both yourself and Luke have received since the fight, does it make it a little bit easier, or is it a little bit too raw at the minute?
Well, no, for me, I'm only upset for him. It's like I'm not upset that we got a loss for the gym or anything. It's like, obviously we planned to win, and it's disappointing, but you know, like, how good would it have been if we'd have pulled that victory off? You know, that's the way I look at it. And I think, you know, Luke's a perfectionist, and he's gonna. It's never nice. It's when you lose on a split and stuff, you can kind of go like, yeah, you know, I should have won that one. I could have done this and that. But I think, the two of us, so we looked at each other and thought, nah, he was really, really clever in there, and he feels like he's a little bit off from that level. So it's a good thing, because it can make him come back and train that a little bit harder and just try and get better at his craft. But yeah, I mean, it is a bit of pill to swallow. But I just hope now Eddie will capitalise on his popularity, because he won a lot of fans there. He showed so much heart and so much courage to get up. And a lot of people on that body shot in the 5th round, they wouldn't have come out in the 6th and tried to stamp their authority. They would have just been defeated. But you know, he had that winner's mentality, and every time he got hit and hurt, he was still live in there, and he sort of came back and hit. You know, I mean, in the 7th, he hurt Lomachenko to the body really badly as well. So, you know, I just believe he won a lot of fans there, and also a lot of people realise how good he is. And I think, you know, we now need the big fights. We don't need to rebuild and going back and boxing 6, 8 rounders, 10 rounders. Because that's what happened after the Linares fight. He lost on a split decision, and he got put in against Troy James with a day's notice for 6 rounds. I mean, yeah, we need the appreciation. We need sort of someone to sort of get behind him and put the time in. I think Eddie will do that, you know, because I think he knows that, you know, there's a lot of good fights out there for him. You know, there's Devin Haney versus Abdulev, which is this weekend coming up. There's the Linares rematch that I'd love for Luke to have, you know, whether that be on an undercard of a DAZN show, there's maybe Canelo's next show, whichever Golden Boy show's being put on. So, yeah, I mean, I think, you know, there's a lot of good fights, and I think we need to go and capitalise on this time, and every fight and every training camp he has from now on in has to be a good one, like for a decent amount of money and for a proper sort of fire in front of him.
Will it be difficult for Luke to kind of not work himself on his way back into world title contention, but he was mandatory for a while, obviously boxed Vasyl Lomachenko, now has 3 of the 4 belts. General consensus is he's going to fight the winner of Commie Lopez. Yeah. Is it going to take Luke working himself way back into a mandatory position? Because in my own personal opinion, at least on the weekend, I can't imagine too many people willing to jump in the ring with Luke Campbell. without a world title on the line. Would you agree with that?
Maybe, but then again, everyone else is going to get starved out as well. Like Abdullah versus Haney, they're not going to get Lomachenko anytime soon. They might fight for the mandatory position, but he'll box Comey, and then he'll pick and choose who he wants to box, and the governing bodies will do what they did, with Deontay Wilder. They'll just let the mandatories just sort of wait there for a long period of time. So we're all in the same position. Even though Luke's come off a loss to Lomachenko, he'll be in the same position as someone like Devin Haney or anyone else in the division, or Lopez if he gets beaten by Comey, or Comey if he gets beaten by Lopez. There's some really good fights out there, and I think with the way boxing is in the US and the UK, I think there's plenty of fights with good money fights out there. It doesn't have to be with titles on the line, and then once Lomachenko either moves up or moves down and vacates, I think we'll be in the position from then on in to capture one of those belts.
How is Luke? As you know, I wasn't at the show on Saturday night, my daughter's birthday. Yes, it's disappointing for everybody. I can say that because my partner won't watch this interview. But I saw on Twitter, and obviously I'd spoken to Chris Billham-Smith's stablemate, that Luke had been taken to hospital afterwards. Everything okay there, just precautionary?
Yeah, he just, the adrenaline of the fight, and there's no like pains in his head or anything. It was just like he had a little bit of pain around his ribs and stuff like that, and his sort of just on his diaphragm. I think he had a lot of indigestion, and I think he was just worried that there was a bit of a break or something. So we got a CT scan, head and torso, and it all came out fine. We sort of left the hospital about 4 a.m., which was a bit late, but no, it was all good. So he felt fine, and once he sort of got to the hospital and the adrenaline sort of left him, he was like, I feel fine now, I just want to go. I'm like, no, we come here, we need to get the scans. And he was absolutely fine, and just gutted really. And it's probably a good thing that he went there, because he would be going back to the hotel, and everyone would have just been tapping on the back and saying, you did really well, and that's just not what he wants to hear. So he wanted to win.
That's something I was going to talk about, and I've spoken to Luke in the past. He does have this elite mentality that he had from the amateurs, obviously fighting the best fighters in the world on a regular basis there. Spoke to Chris again. He said about the kind of the feeling in the dressing room afterwards was that Luke had lost to a lesser fighter, is what Chris explained it as. Is that just kind of Luke's mentality? Is that what kind of makes him the fighter he has been?
Yeah, he wants to be at the top. He wants to be the best in the division. He just doesn't want to be like have a version of a world title and then sort of retire like that. He wants to fight the best people in the world, and and obviously win. That's the most important thing. It's not he wants to win against these guys, and I knew he wasn't going to get stopped. I knew he wasn't going to get he might have. I knew the two of them would have potentially got hurt in the fight, but everyone sort of wrote him off. So from a fan's perspective, I didn't expect him to be as good as that, and he put up a good show and well done. But he as I said, he wants to win, and for now it's just frustrating, because we want to get our hands on a belt ASAP.
From your own point of view, being as close to Lomachenko as you were on Saturday night, any question in your mind that he's the best fighter in the world? I know you've said it previously.
Well, I haven't watched Canelo up close, and I haven't watched others up close. I watched Inoue up close, and he was pretty special. And yeah, I think he's probably the best fighter in the world. Usyk's up there, isn't he? And Canelo, but I think he's the best fighter in the world. He hasn't got the frame of, say, Mayweather to jump up many more weight divisions, but I think he'll still be really competitive at 140. But it's just how much he really wants to stress himself. He might actually have more trouble with a Gervonta Davies, someone who's a little bit quicker, because he gets so much success being the fastest fighter. And he's 30, coming up to 32 now. He's 31, he's coming up to 32. So, I think he probably should move up to 140 and try and win a 4-5 title. But I don't think he won't go down the history books as doing 8 world titles like Pacquiao or anything, because he started too late in his career. But but yeah, he's pretty special. Let's be honest, he's pretty special. I mean, just the little movements, how he double rolls and pulls out, and then he just takes a side, and he doesn't look like he's punching hard, and he just boom, the shots come out just so snappy. Luke said obviously he got hurt with a body shot, but he said never hurt him once to the head, but it's just the speed of the shots, just popping out, and you just can't get hold of him. Once he's there, he's just gone, and then he's hitting your body shots. So he's rapid. He's rapid.
How much do you learn about yourself as a trainer when you prepare somebody to fight such an elite talent like Lomachenko, and you ultimately go through the fight? Do you feel that you've learned and developed because of that?
Yeah, obviously, it's another experience, but I took a lot from Lomachenko, and I've been doing some stuff with Josh Taylor this week in camp, and just trying to do certain little movements, and you're constantly learning. I think when you stop learning, you become ignorant to the process, and I don't want that to ever be the case. I want to always try and better myself, always try and develop myself. But I think it was probably one of my best performances in the corner, because after the fifth, I sort of flipped it on him and says, "How much do you want this fight?" And he, I want it. Well, let's go on, fucking show me you want it then. And I had to go to another level with Luke, because he needed to really bring something out of himself, and I think he did that. He needed to change himself up, and that's he doesn't have a defeated mentality, but he got hit with that shot at the end of the fifth, and to do another 7 rounds with a guy at that pace, a body shot. I mean, any fighter will tell you once you get hit with a body shot, you're crippled. It takes the wind out, it takes the legs out of you. To get himself over that and come back and hurt in 2 rounds later, and then go the full 12 rounds at such a high pace, such a competitive fight as well. I think it was a good performance from him and also myself in the corner. So I was quite happy with it. But moving forward, I'll definitely take some tricks on that, to try and implement that in my fighters.
Who would you give 135 downwards? Who would you give the best chance of beating Lomachenko? You've just mentioned Gervonta Davis, obviously Commey, Lopez, etc. Who would you give the best chance to?
Gervonta Davis. Yeah, I don't think Commey or Lopez will last a distance with him, and nobody else at 130 pounds. I mean, I heard Commey's is potentially moving up, so. Gervonta Davis has just moved up. So I don't know if that would favour. Davies, because he gets quite heavy, doesn't he? So it might actually take the edge off him, from sort of, because he's like quick, and if he's coming in the ring a bit heavier, it might sort of slow him down. Every fighter has that optimal weight that they need to get to, and I think Davies is probably 130 pounder, and I think he should get Lomachenko to move down, because he's the older man. Get him to sort of, even though fry himself, but still bring his weight down, and it might give him an advantage. So I think that's the only fight really. And then at 140, I think my man Josh Taylor would give him a real hard fight.
Speaking of Josh Taylor, on Saturday night we saw him in the ring, officially announcing October the 26th against Regis Prograis at the O2 Arena. Feel good to finally get it over the line?
Yeah, it all happened. It all happened real quick. So obviously Parker versus War Chisora is on. So they're going to bring a bit of drama as well. So it's going to be a really, really good card. Prograis is a loudmouth, and Taylor, he stands up for himself. So that's going to be a really good fight, and I just think the card's going to be brilliant as well. So. But yeah, it's just from now on. It's great. It's just now knuckling down. We had 8 weeks on Saturday. He's already been sparring Luke the whole way through, so he's relatively sharp. I need to sort of bring him, sort of ease off a little bit now. He sparred 8 rounds there this morning, so might give him an easier week next week, and then and then just knuckle down for the last 6 weeks and just make sure he's sharp as attack and get some good quality sparring. I've got some guys coming over from the States, because he's definitely a sharp shooter, and he's heavy-handed. But it's just his movement's really good. He's quite small, but he's really good at adjusting the distance and sort of changing up his head movement. And he's quite calm under pressure, Prograis. So we have to get some good quality fighters into spar. And Campbell will come back into camp probably after his holiday as well, so he'll help out some rounds as well. So I think it's going to be a good fight, but I think it's one that Josh can definitely win. He's the underdog going into it, but it's definitely a fight that I'm very confident in winning. And I think he'll probably look better than he has in his whole career, because someone like Prograis will bring it out of him, especially when Josh respects someone's power. He just gets super sharp, and someone like Ohara Davies is sort of obviously a big puncher, so he went in there super sharp, and that was probably one of his best performances. So I think this will be quite similar.
Well, just about to you kind of trod a little bit on what I was going to talk about next. So do you believe that Prograis is a more difficult stylistically, a more difficult fight for Josh than, say, Baranchyk was in the semi-final?
I think Baranchyk, with his just consistent pressure, and he doesn't mind getting hit, it's hard to look pretty against. And Josh is comfortable under pressure like that, and he'll find it harder to hit Prograis because he sort of leans back, and his attacks will have to have more effort in them, because you don't need to have that much effort to hit Baranchyk. He's standing right there. You just have to be sharp. Once you nail him, you have to roll, block, because something's coming back. Whereas with Prograis, he'll be setting more traps, he'll be dropping back, he creates little good angles, and also he's be firing back. So I think it'll be every time he throws his attack, he'll have to be a bit more switched on, and there'll be more effort in the attacks. But I don't think it will be as physical, anywhere near as physical. I don't think it will be as draining as the Baranchyk fight. It will be, a technical sort of shootout.
Before we move on to Mr. Okolie, who is just warming up behind us, who obviously challenges for the European title, what do you make of... Yes?
Do you? Do you challenge for the European title? Oh, is it? Okay, cool, yeah. I think, I heard that, yeah.
Very weird. Parker Chisora, what do you make of Joseph Parker against old War Chisora?
I think Parker's going to box his ears off.
Why?
Rounds.
Why?
Because I think Chisora's feet are slow. Parker can hold a good shot. The only chance he's really got is to sort of maul him and hit him with one big shot, and I don't think he's got that in him this late on in his career. I mean, Spilka fight flattered him. I think it will be 10 rounds to 2, Joseph Parker. I don't think he'll have the power to knock him out, but I think he'll just box his ears off.
Okay, and Lawrence Okolie versus Yves Ngabu for the Cruiserweight European title.
Exactly what I said before.
Exactly what you said before.
Is
that going to be the way around, is it?
That's exactly what I said before. So with the Joseph Parker Chisora fight, I think it's going to be the same with Lawrence Okolie versus Ngabu.
You're giving like blanket comments now that cover various different fights. Talk to me about Yves Ngabu. A lot of people not particularly well versed in him. He's not the most well known of fighters. How dangerous a fight is this for Lawrence?
There's not a lot of footage on him. He boxed Mickey Nielsen in his last fight, dropped him a few times. I think it was, I've seen a highlight of it, so I think he dropped him a couple of times and beat on a unanimous decision. He's had 20 fights, 14 knockouts, I think it is. So he's, I think he's a better puncher than his record suggests. He's boxed a lot of times out in Germany against probably just like tough, like he's boxing on the European sort of circuit against just tough guys that are coming to survive. So I think he's a good puncher. He looks quite short. We saw him on the July 20th show, and I think this is what Lawrence needs. He needs someone to come and actually try and win at all costs. And I think Ngabu is going to do that. I don't think he's going to be afraid. I don't think when he gets hit, he's going to go into a shell. I think he's going to keep winging back, and with that, I think he'll present a lot more openings, and I think it will give Lawrence a chance to knock him out. But we'll see how tough he is. I mean, we're planning for a 12-round fight and to be disciplined for 12 rounds. But I think we'll see how tough the guy is, and I think it's going to ask a lot of questions of Lawrence as well, because this is going to be a genuine hard fight, a genuine test for him.
Okay, Just before I let you go, I probably won't see you beforehand, so I'm going to ask you about it now. Errol Spence versus Sean Porter, welterweight unification at the end of September. Break that fight down for me.
I think Porter's punch resistance is starting to go. I think he's a pressure fighter. At one stage, he was obviously, he was super strong and super resilient. But I think now his Keith Thurman fight, he got dipped a few times. And I think, I've got a picture of Josh Taylor, Yordenis Ugas, and Sean Porter sparring, because Taylor did 4 with Porter and then did 4 with Ugas, and the two of them got in and sparred each other. And Porter easily got the better of him that day, but then it was quite a close fight. That's what I was really surprised. But I think he's had too many hard fights. I think he's on the slide, and I think Errol Spence is probably going to take him out in about 6 rounds, 6 to 8 rounds max, I think, because I just think he falls in, and as soon as you drop in on someone like Spence, he sort of dips his shoulder, holds his feet because he's very big and strong for the weight. I think we'll just be ripping him up the middle to the belly, and just be too much for him. I just think he's going to expose him a little bit.
Errol Spence, the #1 welterweight in the world, or do you side with Terence Crawford?
I think Errol Spence is a better fighter than Terence Crawford.
Better fighter or better welterweight?
Better welterweight, you're right, because of he's moved up from lightweight. But I think he's a welterweight now, so I think he's a better fighter. Nicely managed. Okay,
always a pleasure. Thanks very much for having me down to Kent today. Lovely university. All looks very good. Look forward to visiting, well, probably as regularly as I visited Wandsworth, to be fair. It's about the same distance, so looking forward to it. Shane McGUIGAN, as always, real pleasure. Congratulations, I know you probably don't want to hear it too many times, on your valiant loss to Vasyl Lomachenko this past weekend. Yourself and Mr. Campbell gave a fantastic account of yourselves. You both should be very proud.
Thank you very much, as always, and we look forward to having you back down here again. Get you in the gym, get you on the body belt or something, or maybe just doing my job and holding pads. I'll stand on the outside, just coach you, coaching them.
That sounds all right, actually. Actually, I need to get in the gym. I'm getting abuse on Twitter. Yeah, people tweeting me, telling me that I'm fat.
That's bad. Don't. Danny Flexen gave me a bit of stick for putting that photo up. But it's motivation, isn't it? And you can't let yourself go. You've got to stay on top of it. I know it's a stressful job. So is coaching. The thing is you just got to put that time aside for yourself, and just eat the baby food. Just eat purified food, mate. It's the way forward. Most nutrients already digested. That's not the truth. Yeah, mate. We're talking shit. So get in the gym. I'll train with you, and we'll get you shredded.
Need to stop eating so much birthday cake. But yes, we will do that. Shane McGUIGAN, thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social.
Cheers, Rob. Thank you.